Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And my name is Derek Lind. I live at 15230 Germanium Street. Been a resident of Ramsey for 27 years. Also part of ACIT, actually. This is our third year of being an ACIT. It's a citizen advocate group for election integrity. I don't think I know three of you city council members. You probably haven't seen me, but some of the other members know who I am. The reason I'm here tonight is Anoka County is set to buy some new poll pads on February 25th. We think that's the wrong idea, basically for three reasons. The first reason is we think they're not worth the money. We'll get into that in a second. And I'll be brief tonight. I know you guys have heard a lot. First of all, we think they're not worth the money. Secondly, we think they're a security risk. And third, we have a legal question. It's not an argument, it's a question, and I'll pose that to you guys tonight. So if you could look at this handout, this blue handout here real quick. Go to the first page. We got a quick comparison of an electric poll pad versus a paper poll pad. I believe you guys were in a meeting, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago on the 29th, where Anoka County said they're going to cost about $100,000. Our numbers are coming in a lot higher than that. We think that was a misrepresentation. Now, he did admit that he had some state funds, so that brought his number down. But we've got a receipt from them for $271, and then I think they had $160,000 in state funds. But we think that didn't include some of this other stuff that's detailed on there, bringing the grand total up to, whatever. We've got a range there, 600,000, 800,000. I'm not going to stand by those numbers because this comes from another member of our group, but I think they kind of break down where they get those figures from. We're told that these poll pads only last 5 to 7 years. So I think as a taxpayer, you got to say, is this a good value? Anoka County just raised our taxes 16.86%. last year. I know that's not your problem, that's their problem. And they only use this on election day, so that's why we make the case that these things are not a good value. That's point number one. Next page, please, quickly. We believe that these electronic poll pads are a security risk because at the end of the day, it's an iPad with cellular service that uses third-party software. Somebody explained to me how that's more secure than a piece of paper at a local precinct. That's all I can give you. I'm not a technical person, but I have common sense. Paper is just more secure. Next page, please. This is a legal question we got, and we're not real sure about this, but all 21 cities in Anoka County had service agreements. In fact, we think most of the cities didn't even vote on this. They got the poll pads in 2018. This was the first time they got them. They pushed them out to the cities. They said, we're going to pay for it. Here's a service agreement. All of that was handled by staff. You guys never signed it. What's curious to us, and maybe it's not a big deal, is we found that there's a JPA down in Dakota County. City of Inver Grove Heights, they have a joint powers agreement where we think their city actually looked at it and said, we want to enter this or not. The point is, this was a major change to our election system. And there should be a political process involved, not staff. It should be you guys voting up or down whether or not you want these things. And we're just curious about what that is. I'm not a lawyer, I don't give legal advice, but there's a copy of, in your file there, the first page from the JPA from Inver Grove Heights in Dakota County. So I think that's it. I've got some other stuff in there. You guys can look through that on your own time. Do you guys have any questions for me while I'm here? Oh, the other point I want to make. We've been spending a lot of time at the county. We had 6 of us up at the county today giving speeches. Now we're going to the cities. So you guys are first. You were first on the calendar, so that's why I'm here tonight. But I also live here, so appreciate working with you and all you've done. Our information's on there if you want to reach out to us and if you have any questions. Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Do we have anybody up here has any questions?
I want to make one last comment.
Yes.
Ramsey's been one of the leaders in this movement, and we appreciate that. We appreciate the courage and what you guys have done stepping forward because we think we can do better. So thank you, Ramsey. Have a good night.
Thank you. I do maybe have one quick question. No need to answer right now because I believe, not for you, Mr. Lind. Because I think our current city attorney and our current city administrator was not here for this, but maybe some direction or something of that nature. I would just be curious about the license/leasing agreement, if that does have to be signed by the city, if those facts do stand that it didn't go before the council and it was signed by city staff, maybe just some direction on that. Like I said, you may not have that answer tonight, but if you have any insight to that, that'd be helpful.
Mayor, we do have quite a bit of information on it. So there is an overall joint powers agreement for the election-related items with Anoka County and a number of cities, and that spells out a lot of the financial aspects to the election and the equipment as a whole. Generally, these poll pads kind of fall under that. The agreement that Mr. Lynn referenced was more on, and the county touched on this a little bit the other night at that one elected officials meeting, but touched on, really the administrative aspect of these poll pads and, the financial impact identified in that to cities was really if one of our employees working the election dropped the iPad, that we would be responsible for paying for the replacement or the repairs. That agreement was signed by a staff person historically in Ramsey. From what we could find, it did not go to the city council. However, whether this makes you feel good or not about it, the city council last year did terminate that agreement under that 7-day clause. So currently Ramsey is not a party to that type of an agreement. However, and this is, I think, was what's being challenged a little bit yet, the county still has the authority to say when these poll pads are used and not, and that really falls when there's a county election or higher. So from that standpoint, our elections outside of a special city council meeting will fall on a ballot when there's a larger or a higher office on the ballot. So right now, the county's approach is that the poll pads will continue to remain one of the pieces of equipment used. But I know they're still having some conversations about it. From the replacement cost standpoint, it's been indicated, Mr. Lynn left. It's been indicated that the county does not have any intention of having the cities pay into the capital costs to replace them here within the next year, it sounded, or before the 2026 election. I think that's the summary of information available right now.
Okay, and then one follow-up question. You said the city council exercised a 7-day termination clause.
Correct.
Last year?
Yeah, late 2024.
So, but you're saying that only affects city elections, so if there was a special election in the city or something of that nature?
Yep.
How does that affect a county election, canceling that?
So really canceling that agreement really did one thing mainly. It took the storage of those poll pads between elections and took it away from the city, and they're back at the county. In 2026, when there's whether it be the primary where there's county offices or higher offices on a ballot, those poll pads would be delivered back to the city to be used. If one of you happen to vacate your council seat and we have an election later this year, it's our understanding that the city could opt to go paper process.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?